Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And today's guest is Runnel, the co-founder of Reverse Resources. This is a company that develops and has developed software solution for major fashion brands, their garment suppliers, and recycling partners to cooperate on closing the loop for production leftovers. In a very big nutshell. Tere hommikust. You know, Estonian is one of those languages that I don't quite like because I understand nothing and there's no chance I will learn it. So you have all the advantage of probably knowing one of the most complicated language in the world, but also English, yes, of course.
That's how they say. Happy to
so as a warm-up. Yeah, and as a warm-up, at a very high level, helicopter view, so to say, what would you say, like you come from Estonia and the company is based in Estonia, and I cannot avoid this question. What do you think, in a very nutshell, you don't have 2 hours, you have 2 minutes maybe. What do you think has made, has enabled Estonia to become something like, you know, European Silicon Valley, you could say?
Well, there are definitely several reasons to that combined together, but most popular story that that is usually told is how Estonia founded Skype, and how at some point those guys who started Skype, they started to spread out and invest their knowledge as well as their funds into next startups and next, together with the Tiger Jump that Estonia did, spreading computers in all the schools in early 2000s. So different things at the same time. We are pampered with a really high level of digital services as citizens as well, and it kind of settles in. So it's easy to think in IT logic.
Yeah, okay. And we know Estonia has produced lots of interesting projects and startups, of course, with global reach and so on. And let's move on to your own solution and product. The company, which is Reverse Resources, first and foremost, explain why this name, and of course, then your target market and your target clients as well. And then we'll move on to some visuals so that we better understand like what they're doing and why, of course.
Yeah, to explain the name, I have to go back to why the company is started. It came from that tension of wanting to live a very sustainable lifestyle as a consumer and not having enough options to choose from, and then needing to bend my own consumptions. Consumer habits, which I realized is not actually changing the world. So I started to investigate why do some companies put sustainability into their core focus? What do they get from it? What is the business returns? I stumbled into textile industry with my curiosity, and discovered that there is a really big problem with sustainability issues in textile sector. And especially my focus went into waste management as I visited Bangladesh first time in 2013, and I saw how massive amount of waste is generated. So my curiosity was how to turn that waste into a resource for fashion industry, and especially solve it as a economic puzzle of how to really incentivize fashion industry to look at waste as a resource. And that's where the name Reverse Resource came or started from. And I forgot the second part of your question.
Yeah, and that's your target audience or target clients. Because from what you say, I understand that you saw the problem of ineffective usage of resources in textile industry as such, and more specifically, manufacturing waste. Right? It's not it's not the clothing that we are wearing already. It's what is left after a successful manufacturing process, right? But not effective, you say.
Yes,
So,
we found that when fashion industry often is looking at post-consumer waste problem first, then in fact when we look at what are the recyclers doing, and especially the recyclers who can take textile waste and turn that back into high quality materials for fashion industry to close the loop, then those recyclers have biggest problem of accessing the exact waste that works well with their machinery. They need to know what the compositions are, what is the background story chemically, and their post-consumer can't be used yet because post-consumer can't be sorted by composition yet. There is another technological gap there that needs to be solved. So industrial waste actually is the low-hanging fruit for the recyclers. And that's why we have put our attention on industrial waste first. But the marketplace or the platform we are building will eventually handle both industrial and post-consumer. We're just waiting for that supply chain to come together in post-consumer.
Oh, I see. You say post-consumer waste is very difficult to segregate and to understand basically what type of textile you have or what type of chemical composition and technological kind of history, right, of this waste. And it's much easier at the manufacturing stage where you know exactly that through what channels this or that textile type is going into the sewing machine or otherwise. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. And so to be effective on this level, I think you also need to work with manufacturers that are advanced enough or that have organized enough manufacturing systems where you can trace what type of textile goes into what end product and what waste textile you can use for what needs as well, right? Is it easy to find? I mean, in general, you would say Bangladesh and other, I understand, Asian manufacturing companies, are they overall modern state of the art kind of equipment based companies, or just trying, to catch up with the demand without investing too much into equipment overall? As a side question, as a side note, yeah.
Well, countries who produce a lot of garments, they are most commonly those countries where the labor force cost is very, very, very low. So it is more meaningful to do a lot of manual work there than to set up machinery. We have seen very advanced factories in Bangladesh and countries like that as well, but it's just it's very difficult to compete with machinery in a low labor cost country. So it just doesn't make sense. But when I come back to the question that they have to be well organized, then we've done waste mapping surveys in 20 plus countries by now, and 80% of waste is not segregated by composition from production, not because of the level of advancement of the company or the production, but because as we all treat waste as waste. It's common to push that into one pile and push it out of the door. So we are in fact introducing this logic of why should the factories segregate their materials by type? How to incentivize them? How to work together with the large brands who are inviting their suppliers, their subcontractors to start segregation of their waste. This is kind of the innovation of our platform is to understand how we're bringing 4 different stakeholders onto one central point, how to communicate and how to incentivize different parties to act in a different way. So we are an IT company. We are applying or using the value of digitalization, but the majority of the work we do is actually related on incentivizing and developing lowering market barriers, working with policy development, and doing a lot of this research and development of a complete new market, actually.
Mm-hmm. So you want to reactivate basically manufacturing waste, and so in a way you have to educate, or maybe to change, or maybe to put in order the paradigm of the manufacturing process, so to say. And why do you say that? Why do you say that your company is basically preparing a platform which will be what, Uber for textile waste?
Well, I guess it's a bit of cheesy way to put it, but it sometimes is the easiest way to explain that. We are very much used to think about waste management companies as the ones to solve all the problems with waste, that they collect it, they sort it out, they clean and sell it forward. What we are in fact doing is kind of turning that whole model upside down. Instead of giving that to all the task and power to the waste management parties to do that, and their business case usually then is brokering, like get the material in cheap and sell high. What we're doing is changing the model. We first connect the supply and demand. We match which waste from which factory could go to which recycler. Then we suggest who could be the middleman to do collection and cleaning and delivery and logistics. And we make sure that there is only one middleman instead of 4 or 5, as it's more common right now. So we optimize the supply chain, we reduce manual labor, we connect supply and demand, and we make that material go really fast and efficient from one point to another. So that's why it's kind of a metaphor to say that Uber, as you connect the driver and the client first, and then the car comes.
And just to make sure I understand it correctly, so let's take a fashion manufacturer A, okay? So they have a certain amount, let's say 5% of their textile goes into waste. You are trying to reactivate this waste, and then this waste is channeled to what? Through the recyclers and so on. This waste is channeled to other fashion manufacturers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Clear. So the idea is what? To keep the whole waste resources close to the place of origination, which is again mostly in Asia, I understand. So this is your goal, right?
Well, eventually it will make the most sense cost-wise to recycle it as close as possible to where it's generated. Right now, when we are doing most of the work with factories in Bangladesh, we actually are helping recyclers from Europe buy the waste from Bangladesh. And this is massively happening regardless of us in that market. Bangladesh doesn't have so much recycling locally, but they have a lot of cotton waste, and cotton, 100% cotton is the best material for the recyclers. So all the new emerging recyclers in Europe who at the moment yet can't use post-consumer waste, but they already want to start scaling up their industrial production of textile waste recycling, they are actually now buying their materials from Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. This is where it's just massively coming. So what we're helping to do is, by mapping the materials, helping the recyclers to enter the market in India to do recycling locally there, while also seeing how we can support the post-consumer collection in Europe so that the feedstock becomes available in Europe.
So currently, you basically you try to supply European recyclers with manufacturing fashion waste from Asia. I understand, putting it to vacuum kind of compressed piles, or just like bags, and then transporting this waste to Europe, right?
Yes, it comes in big bales, but it's not all coming to Europe. We are majority of the textile waste still stays in the Southeast Asian region. So a lot goes from Bangladesh to India. India is heavily recycling already. Bangladesh is starting up, so we see a lot, very fast expansion of recycling volumes in Bangladesh locally as well. So I would say that textile to textile recycling is about to boom as a market sector really fast over the coming few years.
Mm-hmm. And let's have a look at a visual support as well, Prep. We'll compare the current reality as you describe it, and then your own solution by the company Reverse Resources, okay? Yes, and okay, let's have a sum up and overview of the solution and what you're doing using this visual, okay?
Mm-hmm. Sure, so Reverse Resources platform is like a digital layer between a brand and a supply chain. As a matter of fact, I was mentioned that we talk about brand because at the moment we are most commonly working with different large brands, but in fact it can be any kind of a collaboration or partnership on that top level who is interested to close the loop of material flow from manufacturing to recycling. Most often right now we work with brands, largest brands, because they are the ones who have the leverage of inviting their suppliers to start segregation of their waste. And they are on the other end most interested to buy back the recycled materials. Mm-hmm. And that leverage or that market power, I would say, is really important because we don't have the support from policy. We don't have the public sector stepping in and asking everybody that, hey, you have to start segregation of your waste. And we need somebody to go and ask, because and have that power to ask, because otherwise, even though we can demonstrate that factories, once they start segregation of their waste, they start earning better for the waste. There is a positive business case for them, but the waste is always just a tiny part of your main business, and it's not appealing or motivating if a random startup from the street comes and asks that, hey, I want your waste. So that's why that brand is in that steering position, or collaboration platforms, as we work with quite a number of these brands coming together and voicing their ask together. But yeah, we are kind of like a data platform then to help with profiling and waste mapping. How much waste is there? Which type of waste is there? We create this live overview of the waste material flows. We do matchmaking of supply and demand, and basically build this step-by-step entry for everybody to smoothly shift over and start participating. We create that, we offer digital support in delivery of the waste from manufacturers to waste handlers to recyclers, create that digital chain of custody, and do all kind of data analysis, reporting, and forecasting.
Yeah, could you please explain and expand this number 5, digital chain of custody? What exactly do you mean by this?
So it's very common that when we talk about traceability through supply chains, instantly we think about blockchain or QR codes or NIR tags, RFID reading, whatever the technologies are. In our domain, what we've seen is that waste has such a small value that as soon as you add a layer of technology or any tools there, you make it too expensive already. So we've just remained on that level of checking the information that is everybody in that supply chain telling the same story. And as soon as that story changes, we check what went wrong, what is different. So we just ask everybody to register the data on their end.
I see. And number 6, data analysis and reporting and forecasting, to be able to forecast how much, what's the volume of the manufacturing waste will be and so on. You need to be part, at least an observer of the main manufacturing process, right? How do you plan to get into this kind of detail about somebody else's business, basically, right?
We aren't really digging deep in that sense, that we're not doing auditing. We're not going and checking if the numbers are accurate. But what we can do is compare the numbers. As soon as the factories start segregating their waste and they see that there is a demand for it and they can sell more, then they start entering more of their data. As part of the profiling, we also always ask, how big are you? How much do you produce? What do you produce? And thanks to our research, we know what to expect from their production volumes, how much volumes of waste we can expect. So we can, that's how we can kind of forecast what is the possible total amount of waste they might be one day sharing on the platform. But usually we see tiny fraction that they start with. Either they have their other buyers, or they don't want the brands to know exactly how much waste they have. There are many reasons, and for us it really doesn't matter at the moment, because for us it's important to build trust. It's important to enable all the suppliers to come in at the speed as they want and choose, and make sure that we can really make it sexy and appealing for them to want to participate and incentivize them.
Yeah, okay. And yes, thank you. And you know what question popped up in my mind, that basically success of a company probably depends on how aware the suppliers of waste, all those big brands and fashion manufacturers, how advanced they are in their corporate policies and strategies, basically. And this brings another question. You mentioned big brands, known fashion manufacturers. Can you name some of them?
Since early last year, we launched a circular fashion partnership together with Global Fashion Agenda, and we now have 21 brands who have joined that partnership. First ones to join were, for example, Bestseller, OVS, H&M. We have Marks and Spencer, Kmart, Target Australia, Bershka, PULL&BEAR. So it's like really the biggest brands that you have globally, who have joined the partnership with the commitment of inviting their first three suppliers to join the platform. I would say that it's not at the moment anymore so much about the CSR policies. It is business. It is the whole industry having the commitment of becoming circular. There is a common understanding that by 2030 you have to be like some are announcing they're going to be 100% circular. Others have slightly different wording around that, but it is clearly a run towards who will make it faster towards these goals, and who can market it better. So it's not so much about just nice to have. It is becoming part of the mainstream business.
Well, amazing. I'm happy I took the courage to ask about the brands and that you can share them. I understand what you mentioned, Marks and Spencer, H&M, all the brands of Inditex group, I guess. And if you have those on board, definitely you run the chance of inviting more and more of the same scale and caliber. And let's move on to next next round. The next round will be competition and competitive landscape. How would you describe the tech space that you're working in, and is there the big competition? If yes, name a couple.
We are indirectly competing with waste trading platforms. So if, like, for example, Alibaba, or I can't at the moment name them from the top of my head, but there are quite a number of these platforms that have tried to set up a waste marketplace, but their business model still is that somebody sells and somebody buys, and usually they manage with any material type, not textile specifically. There are also platforms who focus on textiles only, but then they focus on fabrics, fabric rolls, full fabric, and upcycling, not so much cutting waste and recycling. We also indirectly compete with traceability tools. There are some traceability tools particularly for waste tracing, who then focus on tracing again any waste, often mixed waste, and work with waste management sector. And then there are traceability, but again, not with textiles specifically. There are traceability tools that are particularly meant for tracing garment products from where they are made to consumer, but they don't then focus on waste again. Okay. So we have indirect competition, but right now we are doing something quite unique and complex. So there we don't have direct competition that we can highlight like that.
So your direct and indirect competition are either are too generalist in their approach, or they cover different waste categories, you could say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and thanks. Let's move on. And then round three is a couple of quick Q&A exchanges. As a co-founder of a company, what would you say are your most effective productivity hacks? And again, not the tools that you're using, but the ways of doing things, the ways of organizing time, effort, you know, working time or relaxation time. What are your best pearls of wisdom you could share with us?
You mean me personally?
Yep.
Or
yeah.
how that works? Okay, me personally, I would say that the best hack. I've been running this company for 7 years. I've been said to be a die-hard founder, and I often get this question: how don't you get tired? But I think actually my superpower is that I am also a mom, and I have to finish at 5 o'clock and go home and put my head to other things. So that really helps to switch off. And actually it helps to have that really good balance of life and work.
How old is your kid and boy, girl?
I have 3 of them, 2 boys and a girl, 12, 10, and 7.
Say it again, 12, 10, and 7. Okay.
Yeah.
I also have 3. Mine are 18, almost 10, almost 7. Interesting. Yeah. You know one of those like jokes, or you could say what true wisdoms. If you want something to be done quickly and well, give it to a busy mom, busy mom, right? So you are just a confirmation of that. Okay.
Yep.
So your productivity hacks wait for you after 5 p.m. That's why you know you have to be effective in everything you do. Okay. Yeah. But anyways, as far as like how to run meetings, how to prepare for the day ahead, is there anything else you could share? So after hours, we understand you have something like three more important projects to manage, and during the working day, what other things you could share?
Well, I would mention that it's kind of uncommon, but our team is globally spread apart. So we do everything online. Literally for 2 years, I didn't see the most of the team. So I had half of the team I had never met in my life in physically. And now with Corona time, I think it becomes more common that everybody works online. But for us, it's been like that always, and it actually helps to save time because you don't have to commute, and you're focused. You're really focused from one meeting to another. But other than that, I don't. I know IT companies very often are data-driven, very focused, use these kind of hacks. I think we are different in that sense that we have, out of 14 people in the team, we now have 2 people who are technical. Others are doing operations in different countries, talking with clients, doing project management. All these supporting things is so much bigger part of our daily work. So in that regard, we may slightly work more like a research organization than a startup at the moment still. We are transitioning and then really fastly growing now our IT part of the team, but so far the market development has just been such a big part of the work.
So you gradually switched to the next round 4, where we discussed the company as well. Thanks, and let's keep the tempo. So the company was founded in 2014. Mm-hmm. Right now you are 14 people, and just to say, you are gradually trying to increase your tech team, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And you are mostly sales, marketing, and kind of market research, you say, operational stuff as well. As far as founders, you have 3 founders, yourself and Runnel, founder and CEO. You have Nien Castle, Dea Lasting, right?
They are actually resigned from co-founders status. Oh, okay. She got twins and got her focus elsewhere. So it's me and Min driving the company right now.
Okay, so two drivers, just to say. Okay, mm-hmm. And as far as the team, you are now actively recruiting, I guess. And for what roles? What roles are most critical?
So at the moment, we are looking for a project coordinator, ASAP, and we are just about to launch recruitment of data specialist / analyst, business analyst. And then thirdly, we're gonna start looking soon for a salesperson. Another salesperson to join the team.
Mm-hmm. So you're okay with remote work, I understand, and let's focus on salesperson. What kind of sales personality or experience you think would be ideal for this role?
Our current sales is doing really good client relationship management and this direct communication. We're going to look for somebody who supports us more from the digital sales and marketing side, and through online communication and sales.
Okay. Like what, creating inbound leads or like all those digital channels, like sales and marketing, combination of sales and marketing, email campaigns, HubSpot, basically HubSpot operator, you could say, right?
Yeah, demo materials. Eventually, we are doing corporate sales, so it's not so much like on social media as you would have on consumer markets. It is more strategic marketing and sales in-house towards those large corporates, and we do we have a large role in educating the brands in how to build their journey towards circular economy, and how our tools are supporting them in that.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So basically, this salesperson will be speaking and targeting and communicating daily with providers or suppliers of waste, right? All those brands that you mentioned, but also new ones to educate, to try to get them in, to get them over to the platform. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, we have 4 target groups. We work with brands as our main client. We work with recyclers, factories supplying the waste, as well as the waste handlers in between. So it's quite complex message going through to 4 different segments.
Yeah, interesting, like multi-dimensional. Okay. And with this, let's move on to round 5. And this is the round where we discuss the funding history and plans for the future. This is called Formula F3, Funding for the Future. By now, as far as I understand, total external investment is at about $2 million. And your investors are from all over the place, right? Including Bangladesh Angels, seed round with Fashion for Good, P4G, Doen, Estonian Environmental Investment Fund, not to miss anyone, the Duke of York, but also a grant from H&M Foundation itself within the Global Change Award. Yes, anything else? Anybody else we missed? Well, this is about it, right?
Yeah, roughly. It's what you listed is a mixture of different grants and awards. So when you say 2 million, then it's roughly half of it is from equity investments, and half is coming from all kinds of grants and awards. So we have been very lucky to be able to get this kind of free money supporting us from through the years. Grants from H&M Foundation, Postcode Lottery, Green Challenge, Estonian Environmental Ministry are the main bigger schemes that have supported us, plus then the private investments.
Okay, so mostly grants in terms of numbers, number of grants, but as far as money, I guess just to say half equity, half grants. Okay,
yeah,
interesting. And so last financing event was mid-October 2021, I understand. And do you have any plans now for future fundraising? If yes, when? How much?
We are still constantly looking for grants and awards, and we have quite a list of large projects that are just starting, and this also gives us a good runway, or extends our runway constantly. So but at the moment the idea is to start with the next fundraising round preparation sometime early spring, and close the round maybe Q3 2022.
Who would be your ideal types of VC partners, I understand, right? Any specific idea and how you would define your ideal partner, or you would be open to anyone? Or is it the moment now to focus on the, like, you could say, smart money?
Yes, we are getting more and more interest from suppliers in Asia. We already have one of our recycling clients who invested in last round. So, and also the Bangladeshi angels are very closely connected with the textile sector there. We get interest from Turkey, which is also heavily producing and recycling. So this strategic investments are definitely going to be a bigger part of that next round. But I would say that yeah, we haven't yet been able to raise the interest from traditional VCs or VCs, even if they are investing in circular economy, or are interested in this early stage as we are. Then there are always reasons. Either we are too slow, for example, for some, where we are opening a new market and not in that fast competition phase yet. We are maybe sometimes too unique. There isn't it's not so common to have investors in circular textile space. Yeah. So it's also, people are more careful if they don't know the sector, and in that textile space and in the strategic investment world, I would say it's not so common to invest in startups. So it's been quite difficult and challenging to find that space of investors who would be interested in things like that. But I believe that with the speed of traction going up that we have been seeing the last months, like we literally tripled our monthly recurring revenue in 3 months, for example. So it is definitely raising more and more attention.
Can you share what's the current MRR range is?
So I would say that majority of our revenue is coming from this project funding, where, as I said, we work with all these brands together, and there is a project funding coming in. So it's difficult for us to measure this as MRR. But if we look at but this is covering an alternative for that subscription fee that we will eventually be charging from the brands. So if you look at the traditional MRR of different parties on the platform acting there, then we are mainly charging now from, or earning from, these transaction fees of when we move the waste from factories to recycling, and we charge from between. And from there, the revenue is now this month getting close to 20K per month.
Dollars, right?
Euros.
Euros. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So somewhere down the road, do you think this would be like marketplace with a subscription or percentage-based revenue model, or as a like SaaS, you could say, right? At some point.
It's a software as a service, and again, as we have 4 different stakeholders, we have the luxury of splitting that cost between the 4 stakeholders. We charge brands per number of facilities they are monitoring in terms of their waste generation, and they have their targets of reducing waste to landfill or waste to incineration from their suppliers. So they are interested to have this overview, and they are then paying us a subscription fee per facility they monitor. Then we have recyclers who are buying or accessing the waste through the platform. They have a combination of a monthly subscription fee together with the fee per volume of waste they are getting into their production.
Okay.
And over the time, we will apply a subscription fee also for handlers and factories, depending.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure this is not like an absolutely new idea for you, but I think among the potentially targeted VCs or VC types, you should focus also on those, impact investors. And then impact investing is gaining momentum, definitely. As you definitely know, that the general investment strategy for impact investors is what they're seeking to generate, like returns, but also creating a positive social environmental impact. And this is what your company is all about, I guess, somewhere down the road. And then, so impact investors probably would be one of those potential priorities for you as well, if you have not yet considered them or approached, right?
Obviously, we have. It's also interesting, though, that the impact investors, they do have their focus area still. So it was an Indian not VC, but organization that we work with, who explained that well for me, that usually impact investors start from investing first into these really heavy social problems like hunger or lack of water, or these kind of like humanitarian type of topics. Then they move further to maybe housing and energy. And only the third round they come around more complex issues like textiles and fashion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he was describing the VCs in India, because they're also impact investing is gathering speed. In Europe, I think that it's not so well organized into different topics maybe, but again, we for European VCs, even if they are impact investors, we are doing something quite unique, because they don't know so well the textile space in Asia. So even impact investors need to know that space. So I would say about impact investment that it is definitely growing and gathering speed, but impact investors, just the same, they need to understand the niche of the market. They need to have experience. I think in those investing in circular economy, the good strategy is to go into the different points in that circulation and do like strategically investments across the whole circulation, and there aren't so many examples of that happening yet in textile space, but it is coming. And I am particularly happy when I can explain and share the stories and create contacts for more investors to come along to this journey with us. So happy to land into conversations with anybody listening and getting interested.
Yeah, interesting. This is impactful, solution and technology, and your goal is also impactful. Definitely, I wish you all the best and good luck. And just to finish it all, our conversation, as they say, if it doesn't add value, it's waste. And what you're doing, you're adding value to the waste. And you could say that waste is only waste if we waste it. You do not allow that. Thanks a lot. All the best. We'll be following your successes.
Exactly. Thank you so much.